and welcome to the Holistic Living, Learning, and Loving podcast, where we are bringing you back to the basics.
We explore sustainable living and holistic health and strive for progress, not perfection.
So please join us on a wellness journey and feel empowered to make positive changes in your life. Hey guys, we took a little break last week. I was kind of away and needed a little break. I mean, we've been doing this for a couple months now pretty consistently, so we're glad to be back this week. And we are going to do a podcast today that's kind of like a special request. One of Rachel's friends mentioned that she would love to know a little bit more about the resources that we use to learn about these different things and kind of stay up to date on these topics. So we're going to share some of those with you. It's going to be a lot of, we're going to talk about like books, podcasts, Instagram and Facebook pages, websites, and things that we like to use to learn more about the stuff that we're interested in. So we hope that you find this useful. Please, as always, please like, subscribe, share with a friend. We love to get our message across. We feel really empowered about it. I recently have decided that I think I am a food activist.
Yeah, you're definitely a food activist.
It's my obsession. So, all right, with that, we'll get started. The first topic we're going to talk about is health and awareness, food, things like that. So, Rachel, you read a lot of books. I am like a library person. If I can't like rent it at the library, it's like not happening for me. But you like have like an assortment of, you have like a library.
I need to be like that. But then again, I wanted a lot of these books because a lot of them are like, information and stuff I'm going to need to refer back to. And, I'm kind of like a prepper at heart. I have like a
doomsday prepper.
Yeah, not really. I don't prepare like with food. I want to maybe one day, but in the back of my mind, I feel like we live on we have a very fragile grid system and everything, and it could just collapse at any moment. So I feel like the internet and electronics could all just be gone in the blink of an eye, and I want to be able to have these resources if that were to happen. Either way, they're still very valuable to have. So, and I'm a information junkie. So I have so many books and I have so many more that I want. So I have a lot to share.
I think maybe if like doomsday happens, I'm just gonna go. The library is really close to my house. So I'm just gonna go and like break in and like loot the library.
Yeah.
Like, these books are mine, and the chiclet too, because I love that.
I'm also very picky about where I get my information. Like, I don't want to just pick, like, if it's medicinals, for example, like, I don't want to just get what they have at the library. I don't know, like, I'm not big on the library, which I really should be. But, like, I don't want to just pick, I want to pick what I know is, like, what author I want to read from. I feel like it's really important to, for me at least, like, pick a certain person, a certain style that you're going to go with and kind of, stick with that. I don't want to just pick anything.
Well, no, not necessarily. Like, you can go online with your library and see what they have, like, see if they have that author or whatever.
Yeah.
And, like, a good thing about my location is I can choose from any of the libraries in my parish. Like, there's like probably 10 of them, and some of them have the book I'm looking for, and then if I request it, they'll bring it to the library I want to pick it up at, and then I can like cool. borrow it from any of the libraries and find what I'm looking for. Of course, they don't have everything, but they do tend to have a lot of stuff that I'm specifically looking for. So don't dismiss your library, especially if you like don't have a lot of money to buy like all kind of books and stuff. Like, definitely use your resources that are available.
Yeah, certainly. The library is definitely a very valuable tool, especially if you don't have the money.
I'm a library activist.
So all the books that I have, or all of the resources I have, are essentially all resources to help you get into a more healthier, natural, low-tox, homesteading, medicinal herbs, homeschool. Like, basically just getting back to the basics, like our little slogan, like doing things yourself, like how to teach your own kids, how to make your own medicine, how to grow your own food, all of that good stuff, and how to be healthy in a natural way. So the first category we're going to start with is health and wellness. And one of my favorite books, this is one of the first ones I read, and this is the one I wanted you to read, Regenerate by, it's honestly, they say it's an easy read, but I don't think so. Like, if you're not in the medical field or like have any kind of medical field background, which I think, like, I went to nursing school, so that kind of helped. But it's still kind of a difficult read. But I wouldn't just let that discourage you from reading it, because this is like great information. It covers like epigenetics and, you know, why GMOs and pesticides are so bad, and like basically the foods that are inflammatory, what they're doing to our body, all of that stuff. So that's a really good one that I highly recommend. He also has, I think, a website called greenmedinfo.com, which is full of all kinds of scientific like articles about all of the studies they've done that prove, or let's not say prove, right? But just a lot of good info. And then I found
my library doesn't have that one.
That was actually, he actually got what's the word, like blackballed or blacklisted. Yeah, like they tore him apart, tried to ruin his name because he spoke out against a lot of big companies that don't want that information out there. So if you probably look him up, you might find a lot of stuff that tries to discredit him. But it's definitely good, valid info. But then I have Dr. Caroline Leaf. She is in the mental health area, the brain. Like, she knows a lot about how the brain works. This is cleaning up your mental mess and then cleaning up your child's mental mess, which this one's really cool. It comes with a coloring book and a stuffy called Brainy. He's like a little brainy man, like his head is a brain.
Ooh, my library has it.
Yeah, this one's cool because you can engage your child in with it. I got it for my daughter, really, and I haven't finished it, but I think it's great. It's about like trying to teach your child how to grow new thought trees. Basically, your thoughts are actually like little, trees in your brain, little pathways, and there's ways to actually change those pathways into a more positive outlook and change the way you see them or view them, and that's what you're helping your child do. And then this is the one for you, which I haven't finished reading both of them.
That's great. I think I really need to work on that. I know my kids, they pick up on like our habits and behaviors and things like that, and like they'll have they'll be like, oh, today's just a bad day. And I'm like, no, today's a great day. Let's have a great day. Yeah. But it's like they're just getting that because like of stuff I do, so that'd be great to look into that for myself.
Yeah, I like them. I have a really bad habit because I'm a book junkie. I get books, I start reading them, and then I don't finish them because I'm eager to jump into the next book. So
she has actually a lot of books at the library.
She does have a ton.
They all look pretty good.
And then, so I know a lot of people are into sourdough these days. I was too. So were you. Not that I'm not any. What?
For a minute.
Yeah. I mean, sourdough is still great, but at this point in time in my life, I feel like we're trying to eliminate grains altogether as much as possible, even sourdough. But sourdough is great for a lot of people, and this is a really good book by Emilie Rafa, Artisan Sourdough Made Simple. It's made simple. Like, it makes the right. Sourdough can become. Some people make it so difficult. Like, they try to like really make it very tedious, intricate, and it doesn't have to be that way. Yeah, and it can be that way if you want it to be that way. But I think a lot of people just want to keep it simple. That's discouraging, and it really can just be simple. It doesn't have to be difficult. And this is like full of a bunch of really, really cool recipes too.
Yeah, so. It looks. My friend and I were talking today. She's like-minded as us, and we reconnected after. I mean, we haven't connected in probably like 9 years or something since we got out of college, but we recently reconnected and find ourselves on the same path. And she was really big into sourdough too, but then again, she's trying to be grain-free, and her kids aren't. But it's just like you have to pick and choose your battles. Like, we can't do everything, like will make you go nuts. And it's like, what am I going to do myself? And like, what do I just have to buy? Because it ain't going to be everything.
Right. Now, I do still make a sourdough spelt loaf. It's 100% spelt. And I will eat that because I find my body tolerates it pretty well. But I don't make it all the time. And we don't eat a ton of it. And that's actually not even a recipe from that book. So, and it's not like the tastiest. Like it's not some. It's kind of just like something to give me that bread fix. You know, it's not like you're like, ooh, I want that spelt bread.
I need it.
Yeah. So another really good one when you're on your health journey. This is paleo diet, like grain-free paleo diets. Against All Grain by Danielle Walker. These two are really good ones that I really like. This one's Against All Grain, Meals Made Simple, and Against All Grain, I think this is like the main one, Delectable Paleo Recipes to Eat Well and Feel Great. Not that I'm saying everybody should eat paleo, but if you're dealing with any kind of autoimmune or just any like health crisis or illness, paleo really is like a great place to start. And then, you know, start reading your body, understanding, you know, listening to your body and what it wants. But it's definitely a great place to start. And those
are good way to start, and then reintroduce things slowly and see how you tolerate things.
Exactly. And when you start on that journey of like eliminating all these foods, it's very discouraging at first because you're like, what can I eat? I can't eat anything. Nothing's going to be good. But this one, I mean, let me show you some of them. It's got all kind of like desserts. Like, I still make this chia seed pudding on the regular. I love it.
That looks pretty yummy.
It is. I really, really like it. And it's got, like, all kinds of cool desserts, brownies, cookies, ice creams, whipped creams, all kind of condiments, ketchup, mayo, barbecue sauce, and, like, just a lot of quick, easy dinners and breakfast foods. Just a lot of good stuff.
I just, out of fun, I, like, looked at the Terrebonne Parish Library. And I see Carolyn Leaf has a bunch of books at Terrebonne Library. So it's definitely something, and Danielle Leaf also has that book, the Against All Grain, is at Terrebonne Parish Library as well.
Okay, sweet. That's good to know.
For our St. Tammany and Terrebonne Parish peeps.
So, that was pretty much it for the books I have for health and wellness. There's probably more that I want that I didn't buy. Let's see.
Wheat Belly.
I have audio books, and some that I highly recommend. Wheat Belly by William Davis, MD. I think everybody needs to read or listen to that. Always look into audiobooks too. Like, a lot of people don't have time to sit there and read a book. I don't. So a lot of times I'll get audiobooks, and Wheat Belly is a must. Everybody needs to read that. And it's a really fun read. Like, he's funny. So it's not like boring.
They have that one, an audiobook at my library, and also they have the Wheat Belly cookbook by him.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's a pretty popular book. A lot of people have probably heard of it. And then Earthing by Clinton Ober. If you that was like the first thing I read to introduce me into the world of earthing, grounding. If you want to learn more about that, I think he's kind of like the first one to, I'm not sure, so don't quote me on that, but I think he's kind of like the founder of it, maybe, or the first to bring it to everybody's awareness. So also Epi Paleo RX, the prescription for disease reversal and optimal health by Dr. Jack Kruse. That's a big one. This book has like turned a lot of people's health journeys completely around. I wouldn't recommend stopping at the book. I listened to it on an audiobook. This is the doctor who kind of brought about the beginning of the whole sunlight for circadian rhythm, getting, the whole quantum biology perspective. Now, like, there's a lot of doctors and practitioners out there doing this, but they kind of all have started by listening to Dr. Jack Kruse. He has a website and like a blog, and it's full of information, so many articles to read, I think it's like a subscription for it though, so I haven't gotten it, but I really want to, because it's just chock full of so much information. I highly recommend that one. And then some other books that I haven't bought, so I haven't read them yet. The Survival Paradox by Isaac Eliaz, Patient Heal Thyself, and The Maker's Diet by Jordon Rubin. That one's a really good one if you're dealing with any autoimmune disease, but he suffered from a really bad case of ulcerative colitis and maybe Crohn's which they're kind of like hand in hand. He was like 90 pounds, dying, and completely turned his health around in a matter of months. And it's a really amazing story. And it's like I bought it, actually bought it and never read it because my nephew was dealing with ulcerative colitis, and I was really hoping that they would read it. And then Ancient Remedies by Dr. Josh Axe, Keep Your Love On by Danny Silk, and The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman. I think that those are really great. Those are ones I really want to read, but I've kind of like learned a little bit about what they speak about in those books. That's really good for if you want to like work on relationships, learn love languages and everything. Have you ever read any of those? Because I thought I heard you speak about love languages before.
I think I have read about the love languages before. It's funny, Mike and I just were laying in bed recently, and I was like, we were talking about love languages and, that kind of stuff. And I think it's important to understand what your love language is, and what your partner's love language is, and make sure that you guys are working together, understand what each other needs. Because if you don't know what your partner needs from you, then I don't think you're going to be like super happy long term,
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of times we think we're doing something great, like showing a lot of love to our partner, but that's not how they receive it. So they're not interpreting it the way you're intending it to be interpreted, So we have to learn what each other's love languages are to make sure we're giving the love the way they are hoping to receive it, at least, in a way that they can digest it, It's just to have a happier, more fulfilling relationship.
I think I'd like to do the Keep Your Love On. That sounds interesting.
Yeah. That one was recommended by, I want to say, by Jessica Sowards from Roots and Refuge Farm. She has talked about that book a lot, so I've been wanting to read it. But last book for health and wellness would be, this is a big one. Nick just listened to the audiobook, The Real Anthony Fauci by Robert F. Kennedy. That exposes a lot of corruption and just so much terrible stuff within the health world that we've been exposed to unknowingly. Just like that's a must. Like, you have to listen to that book. If you want to know why, it's kind of like the basis of why we're doing all this, whether you've listened to that book or not, like you, Heather, it doesn't matter, because it's like this, it exposes all the corruption that we basically talk about and live by all the time. And then stuff that they have done in other countries and all kinds of crazy stuff that'll definitely change your way of looking at things.
Another like big way that we like get information is podcasts. I mean, that's why we started this podcast, is because, books are great. I mean, I love reading books. However, I love reading books that are like I don't want to say fantasy, 'cause it's not fantasy, but like fiction, story, women empowerment, like kind of books like that. I typically don't reach for like a self-help book or things like that. I have a hard time reading it. It's just not something I want to like sit down in my bathtub and read. So I'm like super big into podcasts. That's like an easy way to get information. And also I can like speed it up to like 1.5, 1.75 sometimes, and just like rapid fire listen to it. So I can just like get the information and move on with my life.
Yeah, I just found out, like, I've never done that, like, we're speeding it up. I just heard people talking about that the other day. I was like, I've never thought to do that.
Yeah, sometimes they talk too slow, or sometimes I'm in a rush and I want to hurry up and get through it, and I'll just like, blah, 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 like super fast, like, oh, it's stressing me out.
I don't know if I would enjoy that. But yeah, podcasts are my fave. Like, I'm desperately always looking every day to see if there's a new podcast I can listen to while I'm doing like mundane house chores or whatever. But my favorites for this category are Beyond Labels. They have a subscription, but it's like $12 a year. I highly recommend it. It's so worth it. That is so full of information. It's kind of similar to what we do, but it's by Joel Salatin, the world's most famous farmer, or most likable farmer. Farms regeneratively, and he is just so full of information. He's got just like so many opinions and ideas, and he's great. I love him, full of knowledge. And then Dr. Sina McCullough, she's a scientist, a researcher, And I mean, she digs deep into everything. She understands it and can relay it to us in like layman's terms, help us to understand things. And they're always covering like the biggest new thing within health and wellness and farming, agriculture, all of that. And really great. Like I get so much information from them. And then the Quantum Biology Collective, that's like my new fave. Have you been listening to them?
I've listened to a couple, but not a ton.
They talk a lot about sunlight and how we need sunlight and how using that to get your health back rather than just focusing on food and everything else, that this is what needs to come first. And they bring on so many different doctors and practitioners that like even from like dentists that are using like more quantum like they're using the quantum biology in dentistry, the quantum biology and mental health, quantum biology, and like all these doctors that are implementing it into their fields and doing it differently, and then relaying that information to us and how we can use it in our lives. And it's awesome. And then another one that's similar is Quantum Conversations. That's with two other practitioners. They do something kind of similar, but it's more like I would say like just more of like health specifically. And then the Homegrown podcast, they talk about just kind of similar to us,
Yeah.
just good topics.
And like one thing is like even if you don't specifically go and like look at these, of course we recommend it, but in the podcast you could just search for keywords of like what you want to learn about. Like if I want to learn about epigenetics, then you can just type that in and see what comes up, and like research the people or whatever, just listen to it and see how you feel about it. But that's also a great way of just finding stuff. Like my husband is really into inventing and things like that, and he works pretty far away. Whenever he has to go in the office, he drives like an hour each way, and I'm like, why don't you just go find a podcast that you want to listen to? And he did that, and he was like, oh man, I listened to this really great podcast about whatever. So it's like, just find something that you're into, and like very big bonus if it like, can be life-changing or steer you in a better direction in your life. Because that's all we're doing is researching and trying to see what works, what doesn't work, what makes sense, and come to like a better position in this life.
Yeah, I mean, I highly recommend that you use some of your free time, like driving in the car or while you're washing dishes, to at least, I mean, yeah, I'm not saying you spend all your time educating yourself. Like, I mean, I live for this shit, but I don't expect everybody to. But I definitely think you should spend some time trying to educate yourself on these topics, because a lot of this stuff you're not gonna just hear without actively looking for it. And I believe that we all need to hear it. So, and then some of the websites I included, like I put Dr. Jack Kruse's website on here. That's the one I highly recommended. drax.com, another blog that's full of great information. He's really into ancient Chinese medicine and natural remedies. That's a really good one. And then I have Raw Optics and Viva Rays. That's where I've got my blue light blocking glasses. I got mine from Viva Rays, and I just got my kids' ones in today from Raw Optics. I highly recommend them. A lot of people want to just get their blue light blocking glasses from like anywhere, and if you just go to their website and they'll explain to you why it's important to get certain kinds. They are into this circadian rhythm world. They have done the research, and it can't just be any kind of glasses, especially like the clear ones. They say that those don't even really do anything. Like you need the yellow ones during the day, and the red at night, and then I'll have the orange ones for the evening. But if you just have the yellow or the red, is good enough. But there's more that goes into it, so I highly recommend just going to the website. I also put Anna's Wild Yam Cream, because that is a cream I use for hormone health, and it's all natural herbs. And then Soilwell, I don't know if I'm saying that right, soilwell.com, that is red light devices. That's another one where you can't just buy red light devices from anywhere. They're all made in China, including hers. That's just what it is. There's no way to have them made in America, and I'm not sure why, if it's like affordability or what, but they have to be like have the right flicker rate. They got to test for flicker, and other things that are important. Otherwise, the red light therapy isn't doing anything for you or anything good, or could act, or EMFs is another thing that they need to check for. And these other companies, they're just jumping on the bandwagon of, oh, people want red light therapy now, let's just sell the red lights, and they're not testing them. This woman, she is just a one-man band. She tests every single product before it's shipped off, and if it doesn't test right, she won't sell them. She only did it because she wanted a device she could trust and use for her own family, and people started wanting them. So I highly recommend them. She has this torch that you can actually put in small places like your nose, your mouth, your ears. Whereas and she also, it's really good because you can use it on your teeth, in your ears when you have, infection, just anywhere. Red light therapy is very beneficial, and there's a lot of research that you can read that shows how beneficial it is. But if you're going to buy one, I would definitely recommend getting it from them.
So another big thing that we use is, our Instagram, Facebooks, stuff like that. There's a lot of crap on it, obviously. There's a lot of junk, and you can also become hypnotized looking at reels for hours, unfortunately. But there's also a lot of great pages out there that just want to share information, and so we've kind of compiled a list of the ones that we think are really good that we know of right this minute. Of course, every day I feel like I come up with a new one that I really like.
Well, these that I shared, I know are real people that are sharing really good, solid information that I've been following. That I'm sure of, right? Because you can find anybody talking about this stuff, but it doesn't mean that they're actually sharing good, valid information. So these are tried and true, trusted people that I know, which we're gonna have to put a list in the description, in the show notes.
I will.
Because, to help people find out. So the first one, the one I'm going to talk about is Jolie in Soul, or / Jackie Jolie. She's Jolie in Soul on Instagram and Jackie Jolie on Facebook. She is from Louisiana. I heard her speak at an event I went to. She speaks about quantum biology, circadian rhythm, sunlight, all of that stuff. When I heard her speak, that's what really made me dive deep into the quantum biology field. She doesn't make any money talking about it either. Everything she talks about on Instagram and Facebook regarding this is just purely to educate and bring awareness to people. She has just started a company, though. She has just recently gotten it patented, or maybe she might still be waiting on it. But she is basically a physical therapist for horses and dogs. That was always what she has done. And she just recently tried to patent a red light therapy blanket for dogs and horses, which is really, really cool. But she also shares just a ton of information for us to use and learn from, and I really, really like her. She's awesome, and I highly recommend following her.
Yeah, I followed her, and I've actually met her before at the farmer's market too. So one that I've been following for quite a while is the Lead Safe Mama. Has her own XRF gun, which she travels across the country, even internationally, and goes to people's houses and tests their things to see if they have lead and other heavy metals. So she comes out with a lot of useful information about things that are contaminated with lead that people have in their house, like vintage Tupperwares, and just tons of things that she's tested. And just recently, I believe her XRF is broken right now or needs some sort of fix, and so she started testing food, sending it off to labs, and she's come out with some crazy results on things, especially in the gluten-free area, of things having extremely high lead, arsenic, cadmiums, just really bad toxic heavy metals. 7 Sundays cereal has an insane amount of, I believe, cadmium in it.
Oh, that's a really expensive healthy cereal, huh?
I know. And some other ones too is Cascadian Farms has a cereal too.
Oh, no, which one?
I don't know. You have to go to their website.
We eat that one. Two of them.
But see, the thing is, so it comes out high in lead, but the 7 Sundays, how much lead is in one bowl, or not lead, how much, I believe it's cadmium is in one bowl of that cereal is equivalent to the amount in 14 bowls of Cascadian. So it's just they have an insane amount of cadmium in their cereal. Wow. So she'll post that, and she's posted a lot of stuff. She's doing a lot of testing, and calling out companies that are essentially poisoning us, and don't give any F's about it either.
And you're
That
not
one's
going to
good.
hear about it really unless you follow her, huh? I mean, I don't really hear about lead contamination in food from anyone else.
Yeah, and her kids were actually lead poisoned when they were young, and so they have lifelong permanent disabilities that will require her to take care of them for the rest of their lives. So, like, that's why she is a proponent of this, is because she is directly affected by it. So, she's great. People always try to discredit her, though, and call her like a blogger or an influencer and stuff like that. They try to take away her credibility, but she is a scientific researcher. She follows strict scientific protocols, uses scientific instruments. Like, she's the real deal. And she gets really upset when people try to discredit her, and she should. So another one is the glyphosate girl. She's been really active in doing food testing, calling out companies. She's the one who called out the Banza pasta and things like that for having high levels of glyphosate in it. So she's done a lot of great testing with glyphosate. That's Roundup. And the good one is Girls Who Eat on Instagram. They talk about food swaps, and also one thing I really like about them is each week they'll do a roundup of like all the stuff on sale at Whole Foods that's like really clean. So that's really good information because like these are clean and they're on sale this week. Woohoo, you know?
Yeah, that's cool.
Organic Minded Mama has a lot of swaps. Glucose Goddess. So I don't like necessarily subscribe to everything that she says, but she does have some good hacks on how to make sure your blood sugar doesn't spike and, you know, maybe make your blood sugar spikes a little less drastic. But I'm obsessed with blood sugar right now. So I really like to see what she has to say. Moms Across America is another good one that publishes information about food and testing. They actually just got banned on TikTok. The last thing they posted was about Trader Joe's having, oh God, I don't even remember what it was, but they like kind of call out companies for deceiving us and having toxins in the food. And it's kind of crazy that you get banned for telling the truth about big companies, you know.
People are constantly getting banned and censored for all of these things.
So there's a lot of great ones. And then another one is I Am Jasira. She talks about like natural medicine and things like that, and with the emphasis on kids and parenting. So that's kind of like a lot of ones that I see. I also like repost a lot of their stuff and make my own suggestions and things like that because I'm just trying to bring awareness to my immediate like circle. But those are the ones that I like the best. And of course, not everything they say like is 100%. Obviously, you take in the information, you decide, you know, what you're going to get from it.
Yeah,
you
like
don't
I said,
necessarily take all this as scripture.
right, like we said before on the other podcast, like use your judgment, you know.
Yeah, but like I mean, with the freaking glyphosate girl, she did a study on hummus, and I thought if you had organic hummus, then why would it have glyphosate? Because glyphosate's banned in organic foods, right?
Yeah.
But then I learned that they spray glyphosate directly on garbanzo beans to desiccate them after harvesting.
The organic ones?
I don't know about the organic ones, but how else does it have these insanely high levels?
It's got to be because it's leaching from like you said before, like they have your organic farm right on side of your conventional farm, and it's in the air or whatever. That's got to be. I mean, it's not allowed.
Yeah.
It's not allowed. They can't use. They're not supposed to be. If they are, then they're breaking the rules, which is possible. They do. You know, so I don't know what exactly
it was very
it is.
eye-opening to see the levels of glyphosate in hummus products.
Which really like takes away from the organic food label a lot. Like it's getting harder and harder to trust it at all. Mm-hmm. So like we said, you really need to start utilizing those farmers markets or growing your own.
Yeah, and like when I go to the farmers market, I like talk to them. I'll be like, hey, like what kind of products do you use? And sometimes they'll say like, yeah, like we're not organic, but we try our best. And he's like, and then I'll say, well, what, you know, he's like, I did have to spray these tomatoes because of so-and-so, but these cucumbers don't have anything on them. Or he'll be like, you know, like, I just talked to one recently. And he was like, yeah, I sprayed that 2 weeks ago with this. And, you know, it's like, you know, in your head, you got to understand, like, is it better to, like, go buy something at the grocery store? You don't even know what the hell happened to it.
Yeah.
Or this guy that sprayed, you know, whatever 2 weeks ago, like, maybe I'll just go home and scrub those really good because it's probably still better than what I'm getting at the grocery store, you know?
Definitely is. And typically those people aren't spraying as much as those big conventional farms are doing.
Yeah.
You know, even if they are spraying.
So, I mean, that's just how I feel. But I like go and talk. I mean, granted, I mean, I can't guarantee that they're not like lying to me. I mean, I don't see why they would,
Yeah.
but but yeah, talk to your farmer and find out for yourself. So our next topic that we're going to talk about is kind of going into homesteading, self-sufficiency, simple living. So Rachel, bring out the books.
Yeah. So homesteading is one of my favorites. Well, they're all my favorite. That's silly for me to say. Anything when it comes to homesteading, my number one favorite person to go to is Joel Salatin. He maybe not so much for gardening. He's not like he won't speak much about gardening, but just homesteading in general to like build. So let me just pull out the books. He's written a ton of books, first of all, and they're all great. I don't have all of them, of course, but I've put some in the notes to share. This one is probably one of his newest ones, Polyface Micro. This explains how to homestead on a smaller scale. I mean, like down to having chickens in an apartment, explaining how you can do that. I mean, seriously, it's so possible though. It's like you have to think out of the box. We're so stuck in the ways that we think that we don't understand how much is possible if we really tried. It is possible. Of course, it takes work and effort, but if you really wanted to do it, you could have a few chickens in an apartment. But it's not just that, like just how to homestead on smaller amounts of land and all of that good stuff, how to grow your own. He talks a lot about how to raise animals for meat, so that's a good one. This is the first one I got, You Can Farm, because I want a farm. I want to be a farmer, and I didn't know anything about being a farmer. I didn't grow up like that at all, so this is a great one. And I think this one's really cool, which I bought for future use. This is an expensive book. This is Polyface Designs. The name of his farm is Polyface, so that's why they're called that. But it's like a really big book. And if you are trying to build a homestead farm, and he explains how to build a lot of the structures he uses. And he's not he's simple-minded. He's not going to have a lot of big, expensive equipment. I don't even think he probably has a tractor, but I don't think he started off that way. Everything is very simplistic and as cheap as possible, like mobile milk stations that you can roll around your farm, and he calls it the egg mobile, to where you can move your egg layers around to fresh pastures, your meat birds to fresh pastures with these things. So this is super cool. And he has some other great books. I think I named a few. Folks, This Ain't Normal. That talks about just how messed up the whole agricultural system is, the laws and the regulations that stop us from being able to sell meat and things like that direct to the consumer without having these $1 million federally inspected facilities. So it's not really made for the small man, the little local farmer, to sell, to the direct to consumer. And he just all kinds of things he talks about. He's very into the I wouldn't say politics, but
The next name, Everything I Want to Do Is Illegal.
oh yeah, that's another good one I want to read. And it's true, everything you want to do in farming probably is illegal, and you need all kinds of money to do it the way that you're wanting to do it, and that's what he talks about, and probably more. And then he has Pastured Poultry Profits and Salad Bar Beef. Yeah, Salad Bar Beef. Those are books that explain to you how to sell pastured poultry and beef. He breaks it down, how to start a business with it and everything, which is really cool. He's been doing this his entire life, and he is a great resource. But he's into regenerative farming. He's not going to be coming at you from a conventional way. I feel like I've been lacking the right words to say for so many things. My brain is not coming up with good words. Oh, so beekeeping is a new thing that we are into over here. This is Natural Beekeeping, Organic Approaches to Modern Apiculture by Ross Conrad. I haven't finished it, but I've gotten a good way through it. I love this book because a lot of beekeepers are not doing things organic, which it's impossible to have truly organic honey, right? Because you can't control where your bees are going. Yeah. But a lot of, I would probably say most beekeepers are giving their bees sugar water to boost their honey production. And they're not just giving them that organic, unbleached, whatever sugar, because you can't give them that. It's got to be the cheap white sugar for some reason, because there's a reason, like it goes bad or something.
Not only just that though, like what really bothered me when I learned more about beekeeping is that most beekeepers use mothballs in their, like, whenever at the end of the season after they extract their honey, when they have to store the what are they called, the trays or whatever. They store them with mothballs to keep these moths out of them from depleting the whole thing, eating the whole thing out. But mothballs are like super toxic.
Yeah. And they also, like, a lot of them will use medications too, because they have the varroa mite. I think that's how you call it. There's a mite that devastates bees these days, which the way this book talks about it is his way of doing it is basically you get your hives, and if a hive is taken over by that mite, then it's a natural selection. Mm-hmm. The weak die, the strong survive. And then you keep breeding stronger and stronger bees that have more of a resistance to the mite until you have genetics that can withstand the mite, rather than having, which it's hard, and you'll lose money. And, most people are just in it for the money. Yeah. But I want to do it naturally, and I highly recommend that book. We just harvested our first batch of honey, and Nick he thought that the bees were struggling because they were a small colony, and he wanted to give them sugar water. He's like, just one time, just to help them out. I was like, no, like just wait. And we waited, and it's a year later, and they are blowing up. Like, they are producing. We have to keep out in boxes. They're doing wonderful. So you just have to be patient. But so yeah, that's a really, really good one. So I have this. If you're going to start homesteading and you want to grow your own meat, you want to know how to butcher meat. This one was at Tractor Supply. I haven't even read it. I'm not going to lie. And it wasn't recommended to me by anybody special, but it's pretty cool. Like, it even goes down to showing you how to, like, do fish and squirrel and, like, deer, things you would hunt, rather than just things on the farm. But a book that was recommended by people that I follow and trust very much is The Ethical Meat Handbook, Revised and Expanded 2nd Edition by Meredith Lee. That one's really cool. I haven't bought it, but I want to. And then permaculture. If you're going to get into homesteading, like, I highly recommend learning about permaculture. That's like creating microclimates on your property and using, what do you call it? Plants that are native to your area, and just basically creating your own little, like, food forest, and doing it correctly, like the way nature would do it. And so this is the Practical Permaculture Project. This is just one I found off of Amazon. I liked it. It was okay. It's like a good introductory book, but they do have another one. Did I say Introduction to Permaculture for this one? This is the Practical Permaculture Project. But one that I'm pretty sure is the best one, or the better one, is the Introduction to Permaculture by Bill Mollison and Rennie Mia Slay. That one, it's more expensive, but I hear that that's like the original on the topic. Another one that I haven't gotten yet, but I've been really, really wanting, but I'm just trying not to keep blowing all my money on books, is The Independent Farmstead by Sean and Beth Daughtry. That is a great book for learning how to do a farmstead, not necessarily for profit, but for growing all of your own food and meat in a sustainable way without many inputs from the outside, right? Like reusing what you have and making use of what you have rather than having to spend a ton of money on feed and whatnot. That's full of great information. I've watched a few like YouTube videos with them, and I think that they're really, really, really great. And then, is this yours? The Self-Sufficient Backyard by Ron and Johanna. Oh, no, that's my book.
I didn't put any books on here. Like I said, I read for pleasure.
Yeah, that's true. This is like probably the first homestead book I got. And it was like a little ad on Facebook, like those sketchy ads. I was like weirded out by buying it. But anyway, The Self-Sufficient Backyard, The Independent Homesteader by Ron and Johanna. I don't know how to say their last name.
I don't know.
But this is a really good one. It is good. I read it, I think, almost the whole book. And it explains how to have a self-sufficient backyard on like 1/10 of an acre maybe, or a third, I don't know, it's a small piece of an acre. It's got a lot of pictures and it explains everything, like from how to get your water, like how to grow the food, like a complete layout of how to like lay things out to make the most of the space you have, the directions you need to build your house, and like from the sunlight, like all kinds of really great information. They've been doing this since the back to the land movement in the 60s or 70s, like real good stuff. And if you're like one of those preppers, like I said, a wannabe, this was another sketchy book, but I think it's so full of good information, like shows you how to make like how to like get air conditioned, and I mean like how to like make your own electricity, all kinds of stuff if you ever had to. So I haven't read it because it's more of like something I'm just going to keep on my shelf in case I ever need it, right? Like I'm not really trying to like read it. But it was something I wanted to have. And then this one, I have weird bookmarks, is the Country Wisdom and Know-How. It's like super thick and full.
That's a huge book.
Yes. Obviously, I have not read it, but I've referred to it many, many times. I mean, it covers everything from meat, crafts, gardening, and all kinds of gardening, from flowering plants, vegetables, and more, fruits and berries, kitchen herbs, landscaping. It's got health and well-being, the beauty and bath, natural home remedies, recipes and elixirs, and then your home, like fences, orchards, outbuildings, more inside the house. I mean, everything you could ever have a question about. Really, really cool.
You basically have like a homesteader's like Google in your house.
Yeah. Like that is like my pride and joy, all of these books. Like I love having them. And just being, I do actually use them a lot and refer to them a lot, so it's pretty cool. And like just to have like certain people that you're going to refer to, because like on the internet, like the internet's great, but it's like there's just so much information on there and so many different viewpoints. Like I just want to know, I want to find people I know, like I've come to know and trust, usually through YouTube or whatever, or a website, and then stick with them. Just stick with their ways. Podcasts that I listen to for homesteading would be The Simple Farmhouse Life. That is, if you have ever gotten a recipe from Farmhouse on Boone, which I'm sure most people probably have. Lisa Bass, I really like her. It just has the whole like feel, like gives you the whole farmhouse vibe. She's really cool. And she also has her YouTube channel, Farmhouse on Boone. But then other podcasts, Roots and Refuge podcast, that's Jessica Sowards. She is like really poetic, not necessarily on the podcast, but she just like has a really poetic way of looking at life, a really optimistic way of looking at life. She's just full of goals, like just wanting to achieve so many goals, positive outlook. She's just like a ray of sunshine. She's freaking awesome, a great gardener, and wonderful to listen to. The Pantry Chat and Homesteaders of America, really good ones. And like I said, YouTube channels, Farmhouse on Boone. The Farmer's Table is also Roots and Refuge Farm, but that's her other channel that talks about, like, it's basically just like recipes to use the stuff you grow, or just, you know.
Yeah, we just talked about that, not buying seeds that we don't even eat, just because they're cool.
Yeah, I'm so done with doing that. Like, so she actually recommends growing beautiful things so that you enjoy the garden, but which is cool, you know, like we should grow beautiful things. But like for me personally, I felt like I was just wasting my time on plants I didn't even want to eat, you know? Yeah. So it just depends on the person. And then Justin Rhodes, he's really awesome. He is like close with Joel Salatin and Jessica Sowers from Roots and Refuge Farm. Similar stuff. You got Edible Acres and then Happen Films. They kind of do stuff in documentary format. Which is really cool. I like them. And then for websites, I put Murray McMurray Hatchery. That's where I got my chickens from. And I had a really bad experience. Like, I got my chickens from them, and they have, like, great reviews. That their chickens were... I lost one chicken. It wasn't their fault, I don't believe. The chick was, like, choking on something. And that's what died. But all of my other chicks came in... all of them came in alive. And I still have them all. They're all doing well except for one. One died because I wanted these black copper Morans, and I went and bought them from a local farm. Well, it was like 2 hours away. And they were sick. And I did the whole protocol of keeping them quarantined for like a month. But the second I put them in with my chickens, they were like sneezing, and I had to hurry up and take them out, but it was too late. Almost my whole flock got sick, and I lost one of my chickens. So I recommend getting from a reputable hatchery. I've also heard bad things about Tractor Supply, but I'm not going to throw them under the bus because I don't really know. But I really highly recommend them.
So the next topic is gardening, and I see when we talk about books, we're talking about my favorite Baker's Creek catalog.
Yeah, I threw that one in there. I mean, how could you talk about gardening and not have the Baker's Creek catalog?
Oh, my favorite. I just gave all mine away. I gave my neighbor it because I like to make other people inspired too. Yeah. And I knew I wasn't buying any more damn seeds.
Yeah, you'll definitely be inspired by the Baker's Creek catalog. And not that I have a ton of books on just gardening because, I guess homesteading and gardening can kind of go hand in hand.
Is your house just like a disaster? You just have books all over the floor right now?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. But a lot of those homesteading books will also cover, I have these too. This is just the Farmer's Almanac, which there's a local farmer around here, Jenny Berg. She plants by the moon and everything, and she's really successful. I wouldn't say just because she plants by the moon, but that's what got me wanting to get this. But it's really hard to understand. But it does have the planting guide, like the pages that explain to you like what dates of this year to plant, like it'll say on this day to plant your seeds, on this day to transplant and whatnot, if you want to plant by the moon, which I do believe in that. I think like our ancestors pretty much like they did that.
Yeah, I think Jenny Berg like has a lot of good resources on Facebook, a lot of open dialogue. And I think, when I plant more stuff, I'm going to maybe go by their wisdom because this year I like did what I thought and like I planted my stuff way too late and just had like a very stunted season. Yeah,
I'm also gonna go a lot by what like more local information. Like I just kind of picked random seeds on Baker Creek rather than picking tried and true things that'll grow here. Which I'm still gonna stick to heirlooms always, but I wanted to know which ones grow well here. Yeah. Rather than struggling trying to make certain things work. Yeah, and Jenny Berg, she's in Zone 9, like us. You should also be in Zone 9. So, yeah, definitely a good resource on Facebook. I think her Facebook page is Jenny Berg's Gardening Tips and Tricks. And then Jadam Organic Farming. I love this book. I read it from front to back. And if you want to garden organically, highly, highly recommend it. And it's full of information. And if you want to use like pesticides and stuff, it explains to you in the back like which ones you can. But I don't recommend any of that. It actually explains to you how to make your own from natural things and your own natural fertilizers, and helps you to understand what plants need and the basics of that rather than NPK values and all of that. It's like basically making your own fertilizer from your native soil, your own native microbes, rather than trying to bring in mycorrhiza that you bought at the store from a foreign soils, or microbes that are just a certain, like it's like 3 different types of microbes or bacteria, whatever you call it, instead of like there are so many. They've only studied so many, and that's what he talks about, but there's millions and millions, and it's not like you only need 3 of them to grow successfully. We still need all the others. Just because we haven't researched them doesn't mean they don't matter. And that's what's in your native soil and so much more. Highly recommend that book. But and then the Baker's Creek catalog, and then one I listened to was Vegetable Miracle by Barbara Kingsolver. That's like a really cool book that just kind of explains this family's journey. They sold their house and moved somewhere far away, like in another state, and started to like just live off the land as much as possible and to truly just like eat what they grew. I think that's what it is. They only ate, it's been a while since I listened to it. They only ate like what they grew and seasonally. And they're kind of just sharing their experience with that, and it's really cool.
On Instagram, I really like this guy called Andre the Farmer. He's a cool dude. I think he might be, it seems like he's in somewhere tropical, but I just like him, and he's funny and whatever. He's cute. Not like cute and like I'm attracted to him.
We know. What about My Health Forward? That must be you, huh?
No, that's you.
My Health Forward. That must be something I must not recognize the name, but
Oh,
it
no, no,
must.
no. I'm sorry. That is me. Yeah, My Health Forward is one. That's kind of a new one that I learned. That's why I don't even recognize it because I literally just started following them. But it's this guy, and he does a lot of research, and he kind of has these long videos on Instagram about certain things, like glyphosate, and he's really big into regenerative farming, and he talks about like Mexico recently just continued to ban glyphosate, and that was like this big
Oh
legal
wow.
drama that they dealt with, where Monsanto, is it Monsanto or
Well,
Bayer?
they're bought out by Bayer now.
Yeah, so they were like fighting to try to get glyphosate in Mexico.
Oh,
Like
I
that's just
bet.
like crazy. Like leave them alone. Like why should they have to like pay for like litigation against this big ass company? Like cuz you're just trying to like pollute them.
That
Um
they have their hands in, they are very powerful.
it's
Like,
crazy,
they
man.
have their hands in everything, and they have a lot of pull to do whatever the hell they want. That's why they've gotten to where they've gotten. And all of our food is riddled with that crap. Like, it's crazy. And, like, they just control the science. That's why you have so many people who still faithfully believe in Roundup. Oh, it's safe, it's safe. Then they'll pull out these articles that they don't realize are paid by Monsanto at the time, is what it was. And so it's just ridiculous.
So ridiculous. But I really like that guy. I like the way he presents information. It seems really well thought out. He's really into heirloom seeds and things like that. He just did a really good video about seeds and how it's like a monopoly on seeds and things like that, and how we need to continue to buy heirloom seeds and continue to
Definitely.
do our own farming and support farmers markets and things like that.
He sounds great.
He really like he seems like a young guy, and his videos are just very like black screen, his face, like he's just going through the facts of it, and I really like it. It's going to be medicinal herbs. I know this is your
Oh, yeah.
specialty. I'm not into growing my own herbs, but I see a herbal specialist here in Covington, and she's really, really, really cool. I feel like if you find somebody that's into herbal medicine, like they've got to be really cool.
Yeah. Medicinals are I think, like, where my heart is with all of this. And I think moving forward in my life and my husband, I think we're going to try to move forward and kind of creating our own little apiary with mushrooms and medicinal herbs and honey. We have so much we want to do with that. I started growing a lot of medicinal herbs in my yard, and I'm just like in love with it. I have a whole collection of so many jars of herbs, and I'm finally starting to make tinctures and oils and salves, and I'm just in love. When I started doing it, honestly, like, I had full faith in herbs working to heal you, but I guess I kind of viewed it as it would be different from pharmaceuticals, as like, I figured the pharmaceuticals are going to work faster and I guess like make you feel better quicker. That's how I thought. I thought
Mhm.
herbs would kind of take longer, but do a better job in the long run. But that's really not true. Like, every experience I've had with trying to heal something so far, just like little ailments, nothing serious yet, but like colds, flus, eye infections, let's see, what a few other little things that I can't just think of right offhand, have been like miraculous results and really quick results. With my white clover tincture with a cold, and then chamomile tea bags on my daughter's eyes for an eye infection. I mean, clear it up in a day or two. Well, a day really, but we did another day just to be sure. And like, they really work well, but it's just really important to, like, if you're buying them, to get from a reputable source, because like I said with the red light and the blue blocking glasses, a lot of companies are just hopping on the bandwagon. They're not in it because they're passionate about it and they want to deliver a good quality product. They're in it because they just jumping on the bandwagon of because it's trendy. Everybody
Mhm.
wants medicinal herbs right now, so they're just popping them out, like selling bags of brown herbs that just have, there's a lot of the herbs should retain their original color, a lot of their original color, not just be brown. If they got too hot in the drying process, that's going to cook all of the nutrients and medicinal properties out of them. And just the way that they're harvested, if they're harvested at the right time in the right conditions and whatnot. So all of that's really important. And a few books that I have. So the first book that I got into, that I started learning about medicinal herbs with, which I think is a great book to start with, is Rosemary Gladstar's Medicinal Herbs, A Beginner's Guide. a beginner's guide, like perfect for starting. And she has like, I don't know, maybe like 15 or 20 herbs that she goes through, and I bought a seed pack for every one of those herbs, and that's like the ones I'm growing right now that I started probably a year ago. And just like simple little remedies and things to make. Mm-hmm. I love this book. Great.
Yesterday
book.
When I was at the herbal lady's house, she had Herbs for Stress and Anxiety by Rosemary Gladstar, and that was a really cool book. It was a very small book, but it had like a lot of great information about like, you know, herbs that were good for like headaches, stress, anxiety, like a lot of good stuff about like rhodiola and some different ones that I'm trying out right now.
Yeah. Rosemary Gladstar is like I feel like a lot of people have probably heard of her. If you don't know anything about medicinals, if you've heard anything from it, you probably heard of her.
I'm on this big journey working on my cortisol levels, and I'm trying not to like be functioning off of stress hormone because my adrenals are so fatigued, and like I know that like I've researched and I found out that glaucoma is due to like be like your adrenals being fatigued. And why are your adrenals fatigued? Because you're running off of cortisol all the time. So I'm trying to like go all the way back and like figure out how I can like stop that from the like beginning, you know. So there's just so much like herbal medicine that is helpful.
Oh yeah, and that's what's great about medicinals is it's not like there's just one way to do it. Like there's not going to be just one way to bring your cortisol levels down or fix whatever issue. Like there's a million different ways, and like many different herbs that will work to heal, like, you know, to heal certain things. Like plantain, that does so many different things. It's a miracle herb. It's like probably one of my favorites. But like herbs will work on many different systems in the body. Just one herb, you know. And that's what's great about it. And they actually like the way Barbara O'Neill, which is a really great resource on YouTube, and I don't know if she has a book, but she's on YouTube. Living Springs Retreat, I think it is. I don't know. We'll get to it, but she's great. She says, and it might have even been in the Bible, I'm not sure, but herbs are here to assist the body. They assist the body in doing, like, whereas pharmaceuticals come in basically like the new guy straight out of college that doesn't really know what he's doing on the job, you know, but he comes in, he's like, this is how it's going to go, but he doesn't really, you know, like they just come in and they just start directing things like this, instead of just trusting the body to do what it's going to do. Whereas herbs come in and they just assist the body to do what the body already knows how to do, you know? Whereas pharmaceuticals are just like completely bossing everything around.
Yeah. This
is the one I'm reading right now, and it's by far my favorite. The Herbal Medicine Maker's Handbook, a Home Manual by James Green. It's a fun read too. He's fun. He makes it fun, but it is like everything you need to know. Everything you need to know in a nutshell. He has like 35 herbs and mushrooms that he uses mostly and mainly talks about in here. But it is super great. I haven't even finished it yet, and it's like full of wear and tear because I bring it everywhere, hoping that I could just at least squeeze in like 5 minutes to read it, because I'm determined to get through it. And then I got this one a while back, but this isn't, I don't know, I need to just sit down and read it, but this one's like textbook style. Medical Herbalism, The Science and Practice of Herbal Medicine by David Hoffman. It's definitely textbook style. It's more science-y, like, covering the science behind everything, and it's going to have like I forget what you call it, the actual name of herbs rather than their common names, like, you know, chemical breakdowns and stuff.
Oh, wow.
So which I wanted to have this, and I will get into it eventually because I really want to take this seriously. But it's not a fun read, but it's definitely a good resource. And then if you like to forage, this is a great one, especially for this area, because it's the Peterson Field Guide to Medicinal Plants and Herbs of Eastern and Central North America, the 3rd edition by Stephen Foster and James A. Duke. It breaks it down by like the colors of the flowers. First it starts with like flowers and leaves, and then goes into like trees. But it breaks it down by the color. So you see like purple flowers, you can find purple flowers in here. You know, go through them, and it has like real pictures of the plants and a description, and if it actually covers if there's any warnings, like if the herb is dangerous or has any like contraindications, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a really cool one, and it's small, pocket size. Oh, not pocket size, but small. Let's see. Yeah, that's probably it for the books. But like I said, Barbara O'Neill on YouTube, it's called Living Springs Retreat. She's wonderful. And then the Honeystead, she's, I think her name's Kaylee. She has an apiary, and she's really cool too. Websites where I get my herbal seeds is Strictly Medicinal. They have like almost every medicinal herb seed you could think of. And then recently I started following Amber Hargroder on Instagram. She's like in Louisiana somewhere, but she's pretty cool too.
Okay. All right, so the next topic is going to be homeschooling. It isn't something that we've really talked about much before, but it is something that I know you're really passionate about, and I haven't gotten there in my journey with my kids yet because they're still young, but something that I plan to embrace as well.
Yeah, so I'm just going to go through it really quick because we're getting really deep in the time right now. But some good books. I haven't read this one, but it's a good one that was recommended to me. The Underground History of American Education by John Taylor Gatto. That one probably really breaks down, like, I think that one's going to really help you to see that we don't have to take education so seriously and like so like, you know, academics and thinking they need to know a lot of this stuff, and just where the history of American education and where it came from, and help us to understand it better. And then The Spiritual Child by Lisa Miller. That's about helping your child to be more spiritual, which I think is really a really beneficial thing to teach our children. Whether you believe in God or whatever it is, I think spirituality is important in any kind of way. The Call of the Wild and Free, Reclaiming the Wonder in Your Child's Education by Ainsley Arment. That one's a pretty popular one. I haven't read it yet, but I want to. That's probably, I think it's probably just like about like being more wild and free in your child, like with how your child learns and not being so structured, like I said before, just learning as we live. And then podcasts, they have the Wild and Free podcast. The Hannah Frankman podcast is really cool. She covers like a lot of different people who are opening up different types of schools, like that are totally different ways of learning, different ways of obtaining education, and like sometimes even like she'll have like these teenagers who graduated or finished homeschool and who are doing great big things in the world. Really cool stuff. Brains on Science podcast for kids. That one's for kids and just has fun stuff for them. YouTube channels. These are mostly just like for kids to help learn. You got the Good and the Beautiful Kids, Khan Academy Kids, Kids Academy, and Homeschool Pop. And when I first started my homeschool journey, I think a lot of moms or dads, when they first start, they're like really worried and stressed, like we have this idea of what school is supposed to be, and we think we can't teach our own kids and that we're not qualified and all of this stuff, we're going to fail our children. And you just need somewhere to go to learn about what you need to do. And the homeschoolmom.com like had everything I needed to know. Like it's a blog and full of resources, like where you can get curriculums and what you need to know and everything you need to know. Just read all of it. But yeah, that's it for that.
I'm gonna have to get involved in that next year because my kids turn 5 next year, and my friend who's really big in the homeschool community here on the North Shore, she said I have to like register or something when they turn 5 with the state.
Oh, really? I didn't know it was at 5. But yeah, probably so, because that's when they're supposed to start. But yeah, like you don't have to start homeschooling at 5. I mean, a lot of people, it's everybody's choice. A lot of people do it really young, but if I could go back in time, I probably wouldn't. I'd just like continue exploring and, doing crafts and things like that. But yeah, definitely check that blog out before you start.
So I have a book that I started, and it's called Home Learning Year by Year. And that kind of tells you each year, like, how it's, like, what you, I guess, are supposed to do and stuff. So, like, I open it up, I went to 4, and it was, like, just, read books and go outside and teach them what you're doing and stuff like that. And so I was like, check. And then I moved on from the book. So I'll pick it back up soon and figure out what I have to do next.
But the beauty of homeschool, and this is what they're going to try, like when you start looking into it, they're going to try to explain to you to stop thinking like, oh, they need to be knowing this by first grade. First of all, there is no grades unless you're really wanting to stick to that school structure. But I mean, that's kind of like defeating the purpose of homeschool. But it's like there is no race, there is no order. It's just you learn. Just learn as you go at your kids' pace. Let them enjoy it. Let them have fun. Let them learn. If they're interested in marine life at the time, then explore that. If they're interested in outer space, then just spend a whole 3 months learning about outer space and learn math through that. Or, just all kinds of things. And that's what's great about it. There is no time schedule pace that you have to stick to, because that takes the stress out of kids shouldn't be stressed. I don't even test. I don't even do tests. I'm teaching my kids. I know what they know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if they don't know it.
Yeah, and the second I even bring up the word test, they get nervous. And it's like, oh no, we don't need to do that.
That's funny.
Yeah.
All right, well, that was good stuff. So we talked about a lot of different resources, a lot of books, podcasts, YouTube channels, Facebook, Instagram, websites, lots of great stuff. In this day and age, you have no reason to not be able to educate yourself on whatever it is that you're interested in. If you want to know more about anything that we talked about, please let us know. We're going to link all this stuff in the podcast notes and on YouTube. So please check that out. Again, we appreciate your likes, subscribes, get a discussion going on YouTube or Facebook. We're always open to that. Open to sharing what we know, what we're passionate about. I'm passionate about food activism. Rachel is really big into homesteading, farming, and, all that stuff. So we kind of both have our different areas and we overlap as well. So we hope you guys liked it today. We will see you again next week. Thanks for listening.
Bye, guys.